ESPN Radio, the exclusive audio home for the entire World Series, which can also be heard on the ESPN app and SiriusXM Channel 80. John Boog Sciambi joining us on the program. Any doubt about it? That Grand Slam?
Man, as soon as it left the bat, you knew, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things with the call is all of a sudden my voice gets a little growly because I knew right away. And I said, holy cow, but I probably could have said holy something else, you know?
Well, a lot of times when you're doing radio, well, you're listening for sounds. You know,
Yes.
Baseball is about the sound. And there are certain home runs that certain guys hit a ball different than I always talk about Ohtani. His home runs sound different than anybody else that I've ever heard.
Yeah, so when I'm calling the game on the radio, I still, pride myself on timing, description. And, John Miller's a guy that helped me a lot early in my career. Now I do TV and radio. But with that call, one of the things I was happy about was I say, here's the pitch. I want the audience to know that the play is starting, that there's a little bit of a gap between here's the pitch and then the ball hits the bat. You get to hear the sound, and then my voice is mirroring the excitement of the crowd, as opposed to sometimes the ball hits the bat underneath your voice. You want to hear, here's the 2-2, and then the ball hits the bat, and you're using the sounds from the park.
I used to do that when I did highlights on SportsCenter. I wanted to time it. So if I said Maddox with the pitch, I wanted to have the pause, and then Bonds hits the home run. Even though it was TV, even though, it already happened, I wanted to have that timing part of that. And I think that's essential with radio is you don't want to hear something and go, wait, what happened? And then the play-by-play voice is trying to play catch-up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so there's an element of it. The tip that I will give young radio broadcasters is you actually want to say, here's the pitch a tiny bit before you think you do. Because you can't say, here's the pitch on time with the pitch coming because the ball's faster than your voice. So that's one of the components of doing it. And once you get into that space, it allows you to not chase the call.
Let's go to the other end of the rainbow with the Ohtani injury. When you saw that, like the crowd reaction to that, what was your first thought?
Yeah, you gasp, and it was sort of a progression, right? Because he stayed down, and he seemed like he was in some discomfort. And then, as they're helping him off and kind of stabilizing that left arm, you start to realize, okay, this looks kind of serious. It felt like there was kind of a pall over the crowd in that spot. I will tell you this, Dan, that I go in a spot like this where I don't love that because he's the star, the injury gets this World Series more attention in some regard. And I would also say this, it invites people into the space that want to start making predictions or thoughts on it, whether he plays or he doesn't play. It's baseball. So one of the points I've made, and again, I know that this isn't exactly, we want to figure out, is he going to play or is he not? Dan, the Dodgers need to win 2 games to win the World Series. They can win 2 games without Shohei Ohtani. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's much easier with Shohei Ohtani, but I know it's hard for people to digest this, but it'll be fine.
But it's like the star of a movie gets killed in the first half of the movie.
I'm with you. I get it. I totally get it. I get it in terms of the story.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of clinical, sucking the fun out of sports and just telling you that, Tommy Edman could hit 2 homers tonight. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the Yankees down 0-2. Aaron Judge is struggling. Aaron Boone is married to analytics. I don't know if he's married more than other managers, in your opinion. We can get to that in a moment. But if you're doing the analytics here, you're going to bring in a guy who hadn't pitched in, 5 weeks? You got your lefty on lefty. But then you have the analytics that says that lefty is really good against lefties with the bases loaded. So explain Aaron Boone's logic here.
Well, his logic, though, is that it's a 2-hitter scenario, and he's got to deal with bets there too, is I think what he's contemplating. So I think that you can't assume getting Ohtani necessarily, and you're not going to love the idea of Tim Hill facing the righty. I think that's the argument in that spot. That it is. I will tell you this: if the rules were not 3-batter minimum, I think it's Tim Hill against Ohtani, and then he switches out. But in this instance, I think that because he's going to have to face 2 hitters. I think that he's scared in that spot of Hill against a right-hander. And so, yes, I still understand the argument of a guy who hasn't thrown a pitch in competition in basically 6 weeks. So I do get it.
John Sciambi will be on the call for the mothership, the voice of the World Series on ESPN Radio. Can you explain, has anybody explained why Aaron Judge gets to the postseason and doesn't look like Goliath?
I don't know what to tell you. We used to have a conversation about Barry Bonds until we didn't. And I would say, look, one of the most famous books going on this topic is from a sport that you know and love, and you're a shooter, and it's called the hot hand. And so ultimately, he's cold until he's not. Look, we talked about Shohei Ohtani with runners in scoring position. He was 19 for 22 with runners in scoring position, Dan. Full stop. Do you know what he was his previous 30 at bats with runners in scoring position?
0.
30.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
The thing is, no one is capable of seeing it in real time. No one is capable of seeing he's cold and now he's hot. The results just happen. So I don't know what to tell you. I will tell you this much. He's going to get hot. I just don't know whether it's going to be in this World Series or it's going to be in 2025. But he didn't get bad.
Breakout star for the Dodgers is who so far? Maybe we didn't expect.
I think you'd have to say Tommy Edman. But I would tell you also that I think that the one, as much as the focus is going to be on Judge, somebody else besides the 3 dudes are going to have to do something. 6 through 9's 3 for 29. I went into this series feeling like the advantage the Dodgers had offensively is that if you take out the 3 monsters on each team, the Yankees don't have a Max Muncy, a Teoscar Hernandez, and now Tommy Edman's stepping up. Kike Hernandez has been one of the best postseason performers in recent memory. So the supplementary players is a big advantage, Dodgers.
I loved watching the shot from behind with Yamamoto to see the movement on his pitches. I don't know if he reminds you of anybody, but it's rare to see that much. He almost at times has too much movement in trying to control it.
And he's small, right? He's 5'10". I get a chance on the workout day. He does this activity, and I was standing just waiting, and I was in the second to the top level, and I was in the left field corner, and he does this workout, Yamamoto does, where he takes these 5 rubber javelins and he throws them from the left field corner to deep left center. And he's throwing all of them not with like a crow hop. It's basically one step, and he lands all of them within a 2-foot radius, throwing them 200 feet. And then the other funny part that was hysterical is that the other 15 pitchers down there, including injured guys, are not even looking at him. It's not, hey, there's a guy throwing a javelin on the warning track. They're not even paying attention to it. And he's out there doing something that I assume is, extension or getting over his front side, whatever. But he's a pretty special talent.
Why aren't the other pitchers doing what he's doing?
I'm doing it today. I've already got my javelin.
Great to talk to you, Boog. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
That's John Boog Sciambi, voice of the World Series on ESPN. You can hear it on Sirius XM 80 and the exclusive home of the World Series. So Jessica Mendoza and Buster Olney, Eduardo Perez will be on the call as well.